Hi, my name's Eric. I'll be reading you selections from the e-edition of today's Cape Cod Times. Today's date is Monday, June 17th of 2024. We'll start with the weather across the Cape and Islands today. Increasing amounts of sun. A high of 73 this afternoon. Nice day expected. Patchy clouds in the overnight with a low of 66. Tomorrow, Tuesday, breezy in the morning. Sun and clouds later, and then it begins to get humid. We're going to start seeing that word in many of these weather reports here. High of 81, a low of 67 on the Cape tomorrow. Wednesday, partly sunny, breezy, and humid again. High of 82, a low of 68 in the overnight. Thursday, breezy in the morning, sunshine, and humid. High of 83, low of 69. And on Friday, humid with times of clouds and sun, high of 85, low of 68. Definitely a little warmer inland, and it may even reach 90 in the city of Boston over this week. The sunrise today is at 5:06 a.m. It will set at 8:18 p.m. We'll have 15 hours and 12 minutes of daylight. The moon will rise at 4:09 p.m. and set at 1:59 a.m. Now heading to the front of the paper where the news and, of course, the lottery results are kept. And we read these lottery results because somebody asked for them. If there's something you would like read to people who are blind or print disabled, you can email us at info@audiblelocalledger.org or call us at 508-539-2030 and we'll consider reading it. And if you miss any of the information that we share in our readings or we're having any kind of technical difficulty, you can always go to audiblelocalledger.org, and in the upper right corner is the Archived Readings tab. Click on that. You'll find a week's worth of our newspapers and magazines and our shopping guides, so you know what's on sale at the grocery store. All of that is up at the audiblelocalledger.org website under the Archived Readings tab. Now, for the latest results of the lottery, we go to masslottery.com because the Cape Cod Times goes to press too early to give you the latest results, and if you ask for them, you certainly deserve them. So, with the results for Sunday, June 16th, in the numbers game, in the midday drawing, those results were 6155. Again, yesterday's midday drawing of the numbers game results, 6155. The evening drawing of the numbers game for Sunday, June 16th, the numbers were 4393. Again, last night's evening drawing numbers game results, 4393. Mass cash results for Sunday, June 16th, 2, 12, 23, 29, and 30. And Lucky for Life rounds out our lottery results for Sunday, June 16th with 1, 12, 20, 38, and 43, with 10 the bonus number. Good luck to all who play. Remember us if you win. Heading back to the Cape Cod Times edition, the e-edition. The headline above the fold, if there was such a thing in a digital newspaper, USPS delivers on sea turtle recognition. Cape Cod enthusiasts line up for new postage stamps, by Heather McCarran of the Cape Cod Times in Wellfleet. Turtles have long been close to Dennis resident Tricia Hennessy's heart, so it's not surprising she was among the first in line at Mass Audubon's Wellfleet Bay Wildlife Sanctuary during National Sea Turtle Week, observed June 8th through 16th, as the U.S. Postal Service issued its newest Protect Sea Turtles stamps. On June 12th, designated as Turtle Week's Loggerhead Day, the sanctuary hosted an official unveiling of the stamps, featuring 6 sea turtle species listed and protected under the Federal Endangered Species Act. Local sea turtle enthusiasts, including many who volunteer with the sanctuary during winter months to rescue cold-stunned sea turtles from the Cape's beaches, lined up for a chance to buy the first sheets of stamps brought over from the South Wellfleet Post Office for the occasion. I love them. I think I like the stamp with the little loggerhead hatching the best. It's adorable, said Hennessy, who's volunteered for about 8 years now, seeking out cold-stunned sea turtles, and who also works on conservation efforts for northern diamondbacked terrapins. It took only about 15 minutes for the South Wellfleet Post Office to sell out of its entire supply. Some people had to walk away empty-handed. "We brought all 20 panes," said South Wellfleet Postmaster Jeremy Poloni. "I didn't expect to sell out. I have to order more." "Not to worry, though," he said, as every post office in the U.S. now has the stamps available. He expected to get a new supply for his post office within a day. The Forever stamps, priced at the first-class mail rate, officially went on sale nationwide June 11th. They come in panes of 18 stamps. Poloni noted that the stamps feature species that are all dependent on U.S. coastal waters for foraging and migration. The stamps, he said, showcase a gray-green Kemp's Ridley, a black and white leatherback, an olive Ridley, a green sea turtle, a mottled orange-brown loggerhead, and a brownish-yellow hawksbill. The 4 species often spotted on Cape Cod include Kemp's Ridley, loggerhead, green, and leatherbacks. Poloni said the work that the Wellfleet Bay Sanctuary staff and volunteers do with sea turtle conservation made it the perfect place to launch the new stamps locally. In the fall, the sea turtles along our coast begin to make their way south to warm tropical and subtropical waters, and some of these immature sea turtles become trapped by the hooked shape of Cape Cod, and others just don't move quickly enough, he said. As the waters cool, turtles become lethargic, hypothermic, and in a condition called cold-stunned, he said. They're unable to swim or eat, and the winds wash them onto our beaches, mostly along the shores of Cape Cod Bay, he said. Since 1979, the Wellfleet Bay staff and an annual corps of trained volunteers have patrolled the beaches of Cape Cod, especially at high tide, on the lookout for cold-stunned turtles. Any turtle they find is rapidly transported to the sanctuary and then on to the New England Aquarium or the National Marine Life Center in Bourne for evaluation and rehabilitation, Poloni said. Mass Audubon Cape Cod Regional Director Melissa Lowe, who pointed out the stunning, beautiful images on the stamps, said it's interesting to think about the miles that these postage stamps will travel, almost as many miles as some of the sea turtles themselves in the ocean. Rescuing sea turtles, she said, takes many, many people. Since the efforts began out of the Wellfleet Bay Sanctuary, close to 3,800, if not more, sea turtles have been rescued and rehabilitated and then released back into the ocean. It's a huge, huge effort, with close to 75% of them surviving, Lowe said. Sea turtles are not only incredibly beautiful, cute, and charismatic, but they are also a very important part of the ecology of our ocean. Karen Moore Duerdeville, Sea Turtle Research Coordinator for the Wellfleet Sanctuary, said she's pleased the Postal Service has chosen to highlight endangered sea turtles on stamps. Anything that helps raise awareness and helps people think about sea turtles, she said. Besides rescues during the cold-stunned season, the sanctuary also responds to summer strandings, which are most often deceased leatherbacks and loggerheads that have suffered fatal vessel strikes, entanglements, or other human impacts, and conducts ongoing research. Duerdeville said leatherbacks are routinely encountered in Nantucket and Vineyard Sounds around this time of year. Some years we get more sightings than others, she said, and she reminded people who are taking their boats out to be on the lookout as vessel strikes are one of the biggest threats to the turtles in the summer, and they're almost always fatal. The sanctuary staff encourages anyone who spots a sea turtle to report it so they can collect data about the population. To report a sighting, you can visit seaturtlesightings.org or call 888-732-8878, which is SeaTurt. That's SEATURT for the 732-8878. Be sure to note the date, location, as specific as possible, time of day, approximate size of the turtle, and any other observed details. Heather McCarran writes about climate change, environment, energy, science, and the natural world. And more on the weather that's coming up this week. Heat and humidity on their way for New England by Eric Williams. It looks like summer got the message. An extended period of unusually hot and humid weather is slated to move into New England next week, bringing uncomfortable conditions and excessive heat to much of the region, possibly challenging high-temperature records. According to the National Weather Service forecast discussion, a warming trend begins on Monday, but the significant heat and humidity potential looks to begin Tuesday and then peak in the Wednesday through Friday time frame. A lot of the Northeast is going to be dealing with this heat, said Tori Dooley, a meteorologist at the National Weather Service Boston Norton office. It's going to get toasty. In Massachusetts, Dooley said locations in the Merrimack River Valley and the Connecticut River Valley will likely see the highest temperatures. Forecasts call for a high near 100 in Springfield on Thursday, with Lowell expected to reach 98 degrees. But the cooling effect of the ocean will likely keep Cape and Islands temperatures lower, said Dooley. The National Weather Service forecast calls for a high temperature near 80 in Hyannis on Thursday, with Nantucket expected to see a high of 75 degrees. However, locations on the Cape will still experience high levels of humidity next week. Even though temperatures will be lower than on the mainland, it could still feel rather uncomfortable on Cape Cod, especially during the middle of the day, said Dooley. He suggested limiting strenuous activity to earlier morning and later evening hours during the warm days next week. Cape Cod beaches could offer a refreshing way to chill out next week as water temperatures are still on the cool side. According to the National Weather Service, water temperatures in Nantucket Sound are running between 65 and 67 degrees, with Cape Cod Bay clocking in between 59 and 62 degrees, and the Atlantic Ocean on the eastern side of Outer Cape Cod checking in between 59 and 61 degrees. Here's the Hyannis forecast for next week from the National Weather Service. On Monday, partly sunny with a high near 74. Southerly winds 6 to 11 miles an hour with gusts as high as 22 miles an hour. Monday night, mostly clear, a low around 63. Southern wind around 8 miles per hour. On Tuesday, mostly sunny with a high near 77. Southwest winds 7 to 11 miles per hour with gusts of wind as high as 21 miles per hour. On Tuesday night, mostly clear with a low around 64. On Juneteenth, this Wednesday, sunny with a high near 79. Southwest wind 7 to 11 miles per hour with gusts as high as 21 miles per hour. On Wednesday night, mostly clear with a low around 65, southwest wind around 8 miles an hour. And on Thursday, mostly sunny, high near 80, southwest wind 7 to 11 miles per hour with gusts as high as 21 miles per hour. Massachusetts gas prices fell from last week. There's not too much local left, but this is regional, affects Massachusetts, therefore affects the Cape and Islands. Massachusetts gas prices. State gas prices fell for the second consecutive week, reached an average of $3.45 per gallon of regular fuel on Monday, which was down from last week's price of $3.50 a gallon, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. The average fuel price in the state has fallen about 11 cents since last month. According to the EIA, gas prices across the state in the last year have been as low as $3.07 on January 29th of 2024 and as high as $3.76 on August 7th of 2023. A year ago, the average gas price in Massachusetts was 1% higher at $3.50 per gallon. The average gas price in the U.S. last week was $3.43, making prices in the state about 0.6% higher than the nation's average. The average national gas price is down from last week's average of $3.52 per gallon. Along with more state news, unemployment claims in Massachusetts increased last week. Initial filings for unemployment benefits in Massachusetts rose last week compared with the week prior, the U.S. Department of Labor said on Thursday. New jobless claims, which is a proxy for layoffs, increased to 4,830 in the week ending June 8th. That's up from 4,506 the week before, the Labor Department said. U.S. unemployment claims rose to 242,000 last week. That's up 13,000 claims from 229,000 the week prior on a seasonally adjusted basis. Puerto Rico saw the largest percentage increase in weekly claims, with claims jumping by 309.8%. North Dakota, meanwhile, saw the largest percentage drop in new claims, with claims dropping by 58.1%. From the Cape and Islands section, cyanobacteria alerts issued for multiple Orleans ponds by Eric Williams. If you're a fan of swimming on Cape Cod ponds or your pet's been known to take a dip, it's a good idea to keep up to date with the latest cyanobacteria monitoring information. The Association to Preserve Cape Cod, the APCC, along with volunteers, pond associations, towns, and the state, is monitoring more than 100 freshwater ponds for concentrations of cyanobacteria, that's blue-green algae, and toxins that are produced by the bacteria. These toxins can affect the liver and nerves and cause sickness in people and animals. When levels rise, association staff members try to alert towns. The towns then may post a prohibition on swimming and other activities in the pond until the algal population drops. The blooms usually occur in the late summer, fueled by warm water or high levels of nutrients from fertilizers, runoffs, or wastewater seeping through the soil. But Cape ponds remain warm into the fall, and algal blooms have occurred as late as December, according to officials. Boland Pond in Orleans is under a public health advisory after a sample was taken on May 29th. Observed scum was confirmed to be cyanobacteria. The public is advised not to swim in the pond or drink the water, and keep pets away. If you come into contact with the water, rinse off immediately. Crystal Lake in Orleans is a pond of concern after a sample was taken on May 29th. According to the APCC, the potential concern status means at the time and place of sampling, results indicate either moderate risk for potential exposure to cyanobacterial toxins approaching, but below state standards, or a likelihood for increasing cyanobacteria risk over the next days to weeks. Note: if you notice pond water is scummy or discolored and may have a strong odor, the association advises the public to avoid contact with the water. If you see what might be a suspicious cyanobacteria bloom, notify your local health department and send a photo to cyano@apcc.org, noting the location, the date, and the time. The other article in the Cape and Islands section: can you imagine? Mary Oliver poem kicks off a national parks project by Mary Ann Bragg in Provincetown. A nature walk at Beach Forest and a poem by Mary Oliver unveiled on a picnic table started a national project Friday at the Cape Cod National Seashore, with U.S. Poet Laureate Ada Limon recalling her first visit. She arrived in Provincetown for the first time on October 1st, 2001, 2 weeks after September 11th. She was living in Brooklyn at the time. Limon said this to a group of about 75 that were gathered at the trailhead. She was driven out by her friend, headed to the Fine Arts Work Center. It's just really a beautiful moment to be here, at a place that for me really taught me the healing power of poetry and nature combined, and the way it can bring you back to yourself, Limon said. What's poetry in parks? Limon selected 7 national parks, including the Cape Cod National Seashore, for her signature project, You Are Here, Poetry in Parks. The project's a partnership of the Library of Congress, the National Park Service, and the Poetry Society of America that features site-specific poetry installations in the parks. Each one will transform a picnic table into a work of public art by featuring a historic American poem that relates to the park in a meaningful way. Does Limon's project have other parts? As part of the project, Limon challenges everyone of all ages, poets and non-poets, to write their own response to You Are Here, to the You Are Here prompt, no matter where they are, and share those responses with the hashtag #YouAreHerePoetry. It's simple. What would you write in response to the landscape around you? Limon asks on the Library of Congress's Poet Laureate page. Who's Ada Limon? Limon's the 24th U.S. Poet Laureate, who is in her second 2-year term. She compiled an anthology entitled You Are Here, Poetry in the Natural World, in April through the Library of Congress. The anthology features work from 50 living American poets, including former U.S. Poet Laureate Joy Harjo, Pulitzer Prize winners Jericho Brown, Carl Phillips, and Diane Seuss, and PEN Volcker Award winners Victoria Chang and Rigoberto Gonzalez. Who's Mary Oliver? One of America's most beloved poets, known for her accessible poems focused on nature's smallest moments, Mary Oliver was a wash-ashore who felt at home on the Cape, living in Provincetown for more than 4 decades. She died in 2019 in Florida at 83, with the cause of death being lymphoma. What poem's on the picnic table at Beach Forest in Provincetown? Can You Imagine is the name of it. What are the next parks in the project? Cape Cod National Seashore is the first stop of Limon's Poetry and Parks tour. She'll also visit Mount Rainier National Park in Washington, Redwood National and State Parks in California, Cuyahoga Valley National Park in Ohio, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee, Everglades National Park in Florida, and Saguaro National Park in Arizona. At every park, there will be an installation of a public art picnic table. And keeping it local, we'll move into the sports page. We're going to do a half-hour reading. There is no other local news in the Cape Cod Times today. Boys lacrosse. It's a little bit surreal. Nantucket beat Sandwich in first All-Cape state title game by Courtney Jacobs in Hyannis. In more ways than one, the Sandwich and Nantucket boys lacrosse teams made history Saturday at Barnstable High School. For the first time, 2 Cape teams faced off in a state championship game. The clash marked the first time a state title game was played on the Cape. For the first title in program history, the Division IV top-seeded Whalers defeated the number 3 Blue Knights 7-6 in a back-and-forth game. It's a little bit surreal at the moment, Nantucket head coach Sam Aloisi said. The kids earned it, they deserve it. In games when there's a championship on the line, there are always players that step up to the moment to help their team to victory. Insert Nolan Mosscrop, the comeback kid. Suffering a shoulder injury, sophomore attacker Mosscrop missed his entire freshman season and some of this season. Aloisi said that Mosscrop had been struggling with his confidence, but came up huge today. Mosscrop knew the injury had affected his game, knew it was time to do something about it. This season I had to ramp it up because I was behind everybody else, and it showed, Mosscrop said. Halfway through the fourth quarter, the game was tied 4-4. Mosscrop had been quiet the first 3 quarters, but with 5:30 left, Jack Halick found Mosscrop in the front of the net, and he drilled a goal into the back of the net. About a minute later, Mosscrop scored his second goal of the quarter, and just like that, the Whalers led 6-4 with just over 4 minutes left in the game. Everybody played together, Mosscrop said. If it was one person scoring every goal, we wouldn't have won. It was a teamwork game, and that's how we did it. As the final buzzer sounded, the team ran over to sophomore goalie Jeremy Jickinson, who also had some big saves throughout the game as they celebrated their historic moment. Jeremy kept us in the game a lot all year. He's a tough kid and doesn't lose his head. Gives up a goal or two, stays right with it. I'm looking forward to another 2 years with him, Aloisi said. For the 3rd straight season, Sandwich made the Division IV state championship and came up just short. I'm not going to pity because I lost 3 in a row, Sandwich head coach Mike McNeil said. To be able to get here is extremely difficult, and we were able to do it 3 years in a row. The first All-Cape State Championship had all the makings of a great matchup. The game consisted of 4 ties, which included after the first and second quarters. We worked hard, and I think that was as evenly matched of a state tournament game that you're going to get, McNeil said. The Blue Knights attempted a comeback after they trailed by 1 goal after the 3rd quarter and even had a chance to score with 8 seconds left that could have sent the game into overtime. McNeil said that Sandwich played a full 48 minutes and just came out on the wrong side. Although it wasn't the result he wanted, McNeil said he's proud of his kids. There's a victory there in having the opportunity to be able to work with these kids and the pleasure of coaching them, McNeil said. The Blue Knights will graduate 8 seniors from this year's team. The Cape and Islands boys lacrosse teams have arrived, and they're not going anywhere. There were 4 Final Four teams, Falmouth and Nauset in Division III, 2 state finalists, and 10 overall teams that made the state tournament this season. Those 4 teams were also all ranked in the top 5. Now the Cape and Islands has a state champion in the Whalers, who only suffered 1 loss the entire season. If you didn't know about Cape and Islands lacrosse before, now you know. And the Cape League had all 10 teams in action last night. Opening night, summer's officially here, with all 10 teams in action as the 101st Cape Cod Baseball League season got underway not last night, but on Saturday. It was Bourne Braves 9, the Orleans Firebirds 4, Harwich Mariners 13, Cotuit Kettleers 2, the Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox 2, the Brewster Whitecaps 1, the Hyannis Harbor Hawks 10, the Falmouth Commodores 0, and the Chatham Anglers 11, the Wareham Gatemen 1. There is one obituary in today's Cape Cod Times. It is of Charles M. Seward of Hanover, who passed peacefully surrounded by his loving family on Tuesday, June 4th, just 2 days shy of his 94th birthday. Born in Melrose, Charlie was predeceased by his sister and brother. He was born June 6th, 1930, and when Charlie was 16, his family moved from Melrose to East Dennis, Mass., where he met and dated Beverly Holmes, the love of his life through high school and while he attended Colgate University. They were married August 22nd of 1952 and spent the next 2 years in Bitburg, Germany, while Charlie served in the U.S. Air Force. After Germany, they settled in South Yarmouth, Mass., and eventually Acton, Mass., where they raised their family and lived for 42 years. Charlie was very active in the local community, including as president of the Minuteman Ridge Homeowners Association and as a deacon of the Acton Congregational Church. A man of great integrity, both personally and professionally, Charlie began his career with Colonial Candle of Cape Cod. In 1954, he established his own business representing manufacturers of home decor and gifts. He built a successful business and lasting legacy by forming caring personal relationships with his customers, a tradition still carried on today by his children, Carol and Craig. Married for nearly 70 years, Charlie and Beverly were true partners in all aspects of life. Complementary companions who traveled, golfed, and played bridge together until Bev's passing in 2022. Charlie often said the most important thing in bridge, as in life, is your partner, and he always felt he chose well. There were many vacations abroad, but stories from summers at Cape Cod and Maine with family were retold the most. These trips often ended with boating adventures such as getting stuck in the fog or deciding who would jump first into the ice-cold water. In the early 1990s, Charlie and Beverly bought a house on Anguilla in the Caribbean to have a warm place to celebrate with family and friends during the winter months. An accomplished high school athlete in football, track, and swimming, Charlie took a real shine to golf in his 20s. He especially enjoyed club and regional competitions, but also appreciated playing with friends, Beverly, his children, and his grandchildren. Charlie is survived by many who will miss him dearly. He had an unquenchable curiosity and an appetite for history. He was also a man of faith and found great comfort in his church communities wherever he lived, most recently in the First Church of Sterling in Sterling, Mass., and the First Baptist Church of Etna, First Congregational Church of Hanover Center in Etna, New Hampshire. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made in his memory to the First Church of Sterling, P.O. Box 40, Sterling, Mass., or the First Baptist Church of Etna, P.O. Box 282 in Etna, New Hampshire. A celebration of Charlie's life is being planned for early July in Hanover, New Hampshire. Assisting with arrangements is the Cremation Society of New Hampshire. And with that, we have come to the end of our reading of the Cape Cod Times for today, Monday, June 17th of 2024. This is your reader, Eric, saying be well, be safe, look after each other. Remember our veterans like Mr. Seward. Bye for now.